Well, wouldn't you believe that? Remember that guy a few months ago who wrote this really crappy article about how Pokemon sucked for the last 8 years, basically, and somehow Bulbagarden published it? Well, he wrote a sequel based around Black and White, and somehow, even though his first column sparked near universal outrage, his second column still got published on Bulbagarden! This just blows my mind. You'd think they would have learned their lesson, but I guess not. So if you want to read this epic turd sequel, I guess I'm gonna put a link in the movie description, even though, well, this is not for the faint of heart, because this is really as bad as it sounds. It's not quite as horrid as the first one, to be honest, because, for one, he's actually optimistic this time around, but his basic argument hasn't changed one iota. The last 2 generations suck ass. Because apparently they didn't do enough for the series. And ironically, TM19 Giga Drain. This would have been rather handy had I picked Trico at the beginning, but no, I didn't. So, as I was about to say, what's really ironic about this is that I started writing my own column, a really long one naturally, since I'm the rambling gaming dude after all, but yeah, I make the opposite point, that Generation 3 actually changed a lot in the game, about as much as Generation 2 did in fact. But there are a few things that it did wrong, and Generation 4 was just, an attempt to get those things right before actually moving along with the series, and Generation 4, I think, might not have been nearly as good had the game designers just rushed forward and introduced change just for the sake of change, and doing so would have been a tragic mistake. So Generation 3 Plus, as some people have taken to calling Generation 4, was really a necessary step in order to get those things right before the series could move forward again. Now, is Black and White going to bring about that change? It does look like it, judging from all the screenshots and videos that we've seen so far. But I guess we'll only know for sure when the game actually comes out. And by the way, just a little fact like that, I misread that trainer's name as Kingdraw. You probably did too. But Kingdraw, is that even a real name? Somehow, I really doubt it. Anyway, this is Route 123 when I'm not on my bike. Okay. I let my Pokemon battle each other. I wash them. The way he says that, it's like some kind of creepy perversion. It's sort of like that girl in front of the daycare in Solaceon, you know which girl I'm talking about, hopefully. And she might as well have just said, when there are no trainers around, I let my Pokemon have sex with each other. I watch them. And yeah, you basically get why I'm saying this sounds like some kind of creepy perversion, because really, it is. If you're watching your pets battle each other, then you might as well be named Michael Vick. But as I was about to say, this is Route 123. I'm on the second part, the part that I couldn't access because of those jumping ledges. And the way this portion of Route 123 works is that there's a higher road and a lower road. The lower road is basically, well, not paved road, but there are spots with no grass whatsoever, and you just keep going that route, and there's not much, if any, tall grass on that route. There are trainers, and that's it, and you go all the way down to where that berry planting spot I showed you a bunch of video ago was. Or you could take the high road, which I'm going to go to right now, and yeah, you can take the high road, as I said. And every now and then you're given a choice of continuing on the high road or going back onto the low road. You can go from the high road to the low road, but you can't do the reverse. So basically, if you pick the low road, you're stuck on the low road, but if you pick the high road, you can switch at any time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do the high road first, then I'm going to fly back to Lily Cove and do the low road next, and after that, I'm going to head to Mount Pyre. And by the way, if you haven't recognized the music that plays here, since I just got off my bike, It's the same music that plays at the beginning of the game when you're introduced to with Professor Elm, you know, the whole opening bit before the game actually starts. Yeah, that's the same song. Just listen. Well, I picked up an item, but you get the idea. You can go back and watch part 1, and it'll be the exact same song. And remember a few videos ago, I asked you exactly what it took for me to get my painting up on the 2nd floor of the Lily Cove Museum. Well, there were a few conflicting versions, but turns out that the correct one is that you need to win a contest in the Master rank while getting at least 5 hearts in the first round of judging. So as you can see, this is fairly difficult, and if you manage to do this in all 5 categories of contests, then you're going to get a glass ornament for your secret base. Yeah, all that work for something that will not help you at all in the game. Congratulations, game designers. I love you. And there's another thing that I wanted to mention that I found out about while grinding my Milotic, which I obviously did off-screen because it took so freaking long. Well, basically, the way you can get free matches with the match call is, suppose that you enter Route 121, for example, and you have the numbers of 3 or 4 trainers, regardless of the number, okay? Well, whenever you enter Route 121, there is a slight chance, I don't have any percentages, but there's a slight chance that one of the trainers on the route in question will want a rematch. So that's essentially how you get rematches. So if you want to get a rematch with a certain trainer, just keep going back to that same area where the trainer is, and eventually they will want a rematch. It came especially handy at the end of my Milotic grinding session, because there was this hiker on Route 112 whose final lineup had 3 Gravelers and a Golem. So as you can imagine, it was really easy experience for my Milotic, so I kept going between Route 112 and the Fiery Path, and then I got a few rematches that way. Of course, it's not exactly a foolproof method because the chance of the trainers wanting a rematch is still relatively small, but basically it sort of acts like a versus seeker on the entire route, and the trainers don't stop wanting a rematch if you go away. So of course it's not as handy as the versus seeker, but if you understand how it works, then it comes a lot more handy than just, you know, waiting and hoping for rematches. You can actually choose which trainers you want to rematch against, all that good stuff. So if you ever need rematches in Emerald, at least, because I'm not sure the trainer's eyes in the Ruby and Sapphire works the same way, but the match call definitely does. So in Emerald, if you're ever in need of a rematch against a particular trainer, then you can choose this method. And let me tell you something, I've been fighting with Milotic so far in this video, well, except for that Magneton, because I'm not stupid enough to ask for so much trouble, you know, sending a Milotic out against the Magneton. But otherwise, I'm really impressed with how Milotic's holding up against all those enemies. I mean, its level advantage is like between 4 and 6, and yet it's racking up the one-hit KOs, even if the hits aren't super effective. Well, it came up short a little against that Zangoose and that Seviper from that creepy, from that animal cruelty lover. I'm trying to make a joke, but there's just no joke that's showing up in my brain, so I guess you're gonna have to deal with it. But yeah, Milotic is really doing well considering it doesn't have too much of an advantage over its enemies. As I said, it's like 4, 5, 6 levels, and it racks up the one-hit KOs like crazy. And if you ask me whether it was worth it to go through all that effort to use a Milotic, let me tell you, it definitely was. And I've used it for like 15 minutes so far, and I'm still in love with the thing. So I have no regrets when it comes to picking Milotic as my water type and my sleeper, because I didn't even need to put something to sleep yet, but I'm expecting great things from it when it comes to actually putting things to sleep.